Hello students, welcome back. In the previous class we discussed about maximum likelihood and the least squared error hypothesis. Hope the concepts are clear. So in today's class that I am going to discuss maximum likelihood hypothesis for predicting the probabilities. So in the previous section as we seen the problem setting. So in that as we have determined that the maximum likelihood hypothesis is one which will minimize the sum of squared errors over the training examples. So now we derive an analogous criteria for a second setting which is or common in neural network learning, which is learning to predict the probabilities, right? Now consider the setting in which we wish to learn a non-deterministic function. As you can see in this slide, the non-deterministic function that is f of x tends to 0 comma 1, right? So which has two discrete output values, one is 0 and one is 1, right? Now for example, the instance space that is capital X, which might represent the medical patient in terms of their symptoms, and the target function that is f of x might be 1 if the patient services a disease, otherwise it is 0, right? Now alternatively x might represent a loan applicants in terms of their past credit history, and f of x might be 1 if the applicant successfully replays their next loan, otherwise it is 0. So in both of these cases, we might well expected f to be the probabilistic. Now, for example, among the collection of patients exhibiting the same set of observable symptoms, so we might find that 92% will survive and 8% do not survive. So this unpredictability could arise from our inability to observe all the important distinguishes features of the patients, or from some genuinity probabilistic mechanisms in the evaluation of the diseases. So whatever the source of problem is, now the effect that we have a target function f of x whose output is a probabilistic function of the input. Now given this problem setting, we might wish to learn a neural network whose output is the probability that f of x equal to 1. In other words, we seek to learn the target function that is f dash of x is equal to 0 comma 1, such that f dash of x is equal to p of f of x which is equal to 1. So in the above medical patient example, if x is one of those indistinguishable patients of which 92% will survive, then f dash of x equal to 0.92, whereas the probabilistic function that is f of x which will be equal to 1 in 92% of the cases, and it is equal to 0 in remaining 8% of the cases. So how can we learn f dash by using say that a neural network? So one obvious, that is the brute force way, would be to first collect the observed frequencies of ones and zeros for each possible value of x, and to then train the neural network to output the target frequency for each x. So as we shall see below, we can instead train a neural network directly from observed training examples of f, yet still derive a maximum likelihood hypothesis for f dash. Here, there is a question, that is what criteria should we optimize in order to find a maximum likelihood hypothesis for f dash in this setting? So to answer this question, we must first obtain an expression for p of d bar h. So now let us assume that the training data d is of the form d is equal to x1 d1 comma x2 d2. It is a pair of x comma d up to xm comma dm, where di is the observed 0 or 1 value for f of x. Now, if you recall that in the maximum likelihood, the least squared error analysis of the previous section, so we made the simplifying assumption that instances, that is x1, x2, x3 up to xm, were fixed. So this enabled us to characterize the data by considering only the target values di. Although we would make a similar simplification or simplifying the assumption in this case. So now let us avoid it here in order to demonstrate that it has no impact on the final outcome. Hence, treating both xi and di as the random variables and assuming that each training example is done independently. Now we can write p of d bar h as, that is p of d bar h is equal to pi p of xi comma di bar h, where I equal to 1 to m. So it is reasonable to assume that the probability of encountering any particular instance xi is independent of the hypothesis h. For example, the probability that our training set consists a particular patient xi is independent of our hypothesis about survival rates. Here, when x is independent of h, so we can rewrite the above expression as p of d bar h is equal to pi p of xi comma, that is p of di bar h comma xi into p of xi. Means applying, this is by applying the product rule. The expression is p of d bar h is equal to pi p of di bar h comma xi into p of xi, where I equal to 1 to m. Now what is the probability that p of di bar h comma xi of observing di equal to 1 for a single instance xi given a world in which the hypothesis h holds? Now recall that h is our hypothesis regarding the target function, so which computes this very probability, right? Now therefore p of di is equal to 1 bar h comma xi, which is also equal to h of xi, and in general p of di bar h comma xi is equal to h of xi if di equal to 1. Suppose if di equal to 0, then p of di bar h comma xi is equal to 1 minus h of xi. So in order to substitute this into uh, this previous equation, means this last equation as we have seen for p of d bar hi. Now let us first re-express it in a more mathematical manipulate form as p of di bar h, this expression you see, p of di bar h comma xi is equal to h of xi raised to di into 1 minus h of xi raised to 1 minus di. So here it is very easy to verify that the uh, this expression, that is equation 3, right, and equation 4. So it is very easy to verify this equation 3 and equation 4 that are equivalent. So we can notice that when di equal to 1, the second term from this equation 4 is 1 minus h of xi raised to 1 minus di becomes equal to 1. Hence p of di is equal to 1 bar h comma xi, which is also equal to h of xi, which is equivalent to the first case in the equation 3. So a similar analysis shows that the two equations are also equivalent when di is equal to 0. Means when di is equal to 0, then these two equations, that is equation 3 and equation 4, that are equivalent. Now we can use equation 4 to substitute for p of di bar h comma xi in the previous equation, that is in equation 2, that is in this particular equation. So as we obtain p of d bar h is equal to pi of h of xi raised to di into 1 minus h of xi raised to 1 minus di into p of xi, where I equal to 1 to m. Now we write an expression for maximum likelihood hypothesis as HML, that is maximum likelihood. So HML is equal to argmax pi h of xi raised to di into 1 minus h of xi raised to 1 minus di into p of xi, where I equal to 1 to m and small h belongs to capital H. Small h is hypothesis and capital H is hypothesis space. Here the last term is a constant which is independent of h, so it can be ignored or it can be dropped here. So we'll get the equation as h of ml is equal to arg max pi h of xi raised to di into 1 minus h of xi raised to 1 minus di, where I equal to 1 raised to m and h belongs to capital H. So this term we are neglecting because it is independent of h, so we are dropping or we are ignoring this term. Here the expression on the right hand side of this particular equation means this expression, so it can be seen as a generalization of binomial distribution as it was described earlier. So the expression in this particular equation, that is equation 6, it describes the probability that flipping each of m distinct coins which will produce the outcome as d1 comma d2 comma d3 up to dm, assuming that each coin xi has the probability, that is h of xi, of producing heads. So we can note that the binomial distribution is similar, but which will make the additional assumption that the coins that have identical probabilities of turning up heads. So in both the cases we assume that the outcomes of the coin flips that are mutually independent, which is an assumption that fits our current setting, that is current problem setting. So this is all about maximum likelihood hypothesis for predicting the probabilities. So in this, now let us understand what is the gradient search to maximize the likelihood in a neural net, right? So in the previous slides, as it was showed that maximizing the quality in the equation 7, so that is in this equation, so which will yield the maximum likelihood hypothesis. So now let us use g of h comma d so to denote this quantity. So in this section we derive a weight training rule for the neural network learning that seeks to maximize g of h comma d using the gradient ascent. So as it is discussed in one of the previous class, the gradient of g of h comma d is given by the factor of partial derivatives of g of h comma d with respect to the various network weights that define the hypothesis small h represented by the learned network, right? So in this case, the partial derivative of g of h comma d with respect to the weight, that is wjk, from the input k to unit j, as you can see this expression, that is delta, so this term we can name it as delta. So delta of, that is delta g of h comma d divided by delta wjk is equal to sigma of delta g h comma d divided by delta h of xi into delta h of xi divided by delta wjk, so it's in turn equal to summation delta of di ln h of xi plus 1 minus di ln 1 minus h of xi whole divided by delta of h of xi into delta of xi divided by delta of wjk, where I will vary from 1 to m. So finally it is simplified as sigma, that is di minus h of xi whole divided by h of xi into 1 minus h of xi, which is multiplied with the term, that is delta h of xi divided by delta wjk, where I will range from 1 to m. So to keep our analysis simple, suppose our neural network is constructed from a single layer of the sigmoid units. So in this case, as we have delta h of xi divided by delta wjk is equal to sigma dash of xi into xijk, which is further simplified as h of xi into 1 minus h of xi into xijk. Here xij, that is xijk, is the kth input to unit I for the ith training example. So what is xijk represent? It represent a kth input to unit j for the ith training example, and d of x is the derivative of the sigmoid squashing function, and sigma dash of x is nothing but the derivative of the sigmoid squashing function. Both are same, that is the sigma dash of xi and d of x, both are same. So finally we are substituting this expression into one of the previous equation, so we obtain a simple expression for the derivatives that will constitute the gradient as delta g of h comma d divided by delta w jk, which is equal to sigma of di minus h of xi into x of ijk, where I range from 1 to m. Here because as we seek to maximize rather than minimizing p of d bar h, so we perform the gradient ascent rather than the gradient descent search. So on each iteration of the search, the weight vector is adjusted in the direction of the gradient using the weight update rule. As we have this weight update rule, so we have learned this already, that is wjk is equal to wjk plus delta wjk. This is the weight update rule, where delta wjk is equal to uh, n sigma of di minus h of xi into xijk, where I will range from 1 to m. Here this term, that is n, so this term is a small positive constant that determine the step size of the gradient ascent search. So now it is very interesting to compare this weight update rule to the weight update rule which is used by backpropagation algorithm to minimize the sum of squared errors between a predicted and the observed network outputs. Here the backpropagation update rule for the output unit weights, which is re-expressed using our current notation, that is wjk is equal to wjk plus delta wjk, where delta wjk equal to n into sigma of h of xi into 1 minus h of xi into di minus h of xi, which is multiplied with xijk, where I range from 1 to m. So here we can notice that this is very similar to the rule which is given in the previous equation, that is this equation. Both are almost same. So except for the extra term, that is h of xi into 1 minus h of xi. So except this term, both the equations are almost same, which is the derivative of the sigmoid function. So finally, to summarize, these two weight update rules converge towards the maximum likelihood hypothesis in two different settings. So the rule that minimizes the sum of squared error, which will seek the maximum likelihood hypothesis under the assumption that the training data can be modeled by normally distributed noise, which is added to the target function value. So the rule that minimizes the cross entropy seeks the maximum likelihood hypothesis under the assumption that the observed Boolean value is a probability function output of the input instances. So this is all about the maximum likelihood hypothesis for predicting the probabilities. So in the next class that I am going to discuss minimum description length principle.